What middle name would you pair with Wallace to give it like a cottagecore storybook, like just like cozy old grandpa feel? When I'm looking at middle name pairings and I'm not stuck within like parameters of having to find a family name or something like that, I'll look to try to mirror individual sounds within the first name. Sometimes that creates a really nice flow. So we'll look at names that have a WA in there, AL, and AC. So obviously a lot of these names have different sounds, even with the mirroring letters, but even if it's phonetic mirroring or just visual mirroring, sometimes it looks really nice having the repetition. I'm an alliteration lover, and especially if we're looking for a name that feels like it has some storybook magic to it, W names I think are going to be a really good bet when we're pairing this middle name. Looking to the cozy cottagecore vibes, we've got this list. And then jumping into like the storybook pairings. So I was trying to look at the first name Wallace and say what middle name makes it feel like a little bit magical or a little bit otherworldly. And then pulling inspiration from just actual literary boy names. Narrowing it down, I always do my top suggestions and categories. The first one I did were the W names if we want some alliteration. So Wallace Winslow, Wallace Whitaker, Wallace Wynn, Wallace Wesley, and Wallace Wiley. Something about Wallace Wiley I just think is very fun to say. I feel like it really encapsulates that like storybook vibe. Looking to the names of the AL, Wallace Alden, Wallace Alvey, I love for like the grandpa vibes, Wallace Valor for the storybook vibes, Wallace Aldo, and Wallace Halston. Names of the AC, Wallace Staker, Wallace Achilles, I know that's like a wild card one, but I do think the idea of it's fun, Wallace Cormac, Wallace Jacoby, and Wallace Mack. And then some double letter names to match the double letters in Wallace. So Wallace Elliott, Wallace Callahan, I feel like sounds very important, Wallace Dashiell, Wallace Wheeler, and Wallace Finnegan. And finally, leaning really into the storybook cottagecore, Wallace Finch, Wallace Thatcher, Wallace Florian, Wallace Teddy, and Wallace Darcy. So those are my suggestions, but I would love to know what name you would pair with the first name Wallace. I hope everyone's having a great day.